There is a moral law, the Word of God, the grace of God.
To live without hope is to cease to live.
What I thought would be good was just to think about why we're here. Why does RHN exist? What is RHN? What is Restored Hope Network? And this is a bit broader than what we're here for as far as the Hope Conference. The Hope Conference is just one thing that we offer. So I thought it would be good to just discuss a little bit of that, and you could see the vastness of RHN and why it's so valuable. RHN's mission is to restore hope, proclaim truth, and equip the church. Very simple and very good. Restored Hope was born to declare the life-changing power of Jesus Christ for all who seek him. The gospel itself, right? It's made up of ministries, pastors, counselors, churches, and these are members of RHN. It has a board of directors, and those board of directors consist of people who are members. All board of directors are members of RHN, which oversee the executive director and the staff. And to the outside, you see the Hope Conference, which is this. You see the Equip Conference, which is for pastors and leaders in different areas, and then a member retreat, which is a retreat for member leaders that we are looking forward to doing in the next coming year. But under that are all the things that every member provides, and it's such a wonderful thing to be together because on our own, one member ministry can't provide all of these resources. Together, we're so much stronger. So we have apologetics, position papers, tons of resources like the one Ann just said, multiple resources. I get so many great things for our ministry because some other ministry has developed something wonderful, and how strong we are because we have that connection, which gives such reason for RHN to exist. We have phone support, ministry referrals. People call RHN to say, who's in Atlanta? We're able to get help for people, newsletters, testimonies like you just heard, fabulous story, best practices. There are best practices for everything throughout the network that so many ministries can use to help people in their area. Communications, website, TV, radio. Ann is specifically so good on TV and radio to represent who we are. But then each individual ministry does as well. And we get more and more information from everybody. Social media now is a great way we're passing information for each other, letting know another conference is going on in your area. And then the last thing I want to show you is the strategic connections. I just have abbreviations because there are so many, and these are just some of them. So I wanted to read off to you the different places where RHN is able to connect, and therefore each ministry is able to connect there. So this is how we accomplish more of what we do. Alliance Defending Freedom, Coalition of Counseling Choice, California Family Council, Pacific Justice Institute, Family Talk, Liberty Council, Eagle Forum, Summit Ministries, the Bethel Change Group, Church United, American Association of Christian Counselors. Those are just some, but we're so connected to those, we can get information for our own issues or things that are happening and be ahead of the game on what's happening and how we'll survive in ministry in a culture like we're talking about today. There's so many things that RHN is able to get connected with that we're able to draw from. And of course, those are all groups that have the same biblical worldview as RHN. So I brought up the little map that's on the website. If you'll look at the next slide, this just shows you the dots of where all the ministries are located. You can find this on the website. But God has strategically placed his troops across the country. Every one of you are connected to one of those places, which at that place has 200 other testimonies. If you add them all together across the country, it's such a wonderful army of God that still restores hope, proclaims truth, and equips the church with love, compassion, the heart of this young man that just told a story. It's beautiful to hear what love he received within it. But behind the scenes are all these wonderful support for every ministry, and it's all about transformation in Jesus and how strong we are together. So that is a bit of a case of why RHN, what does it do? We have a position in this country like no other group, all the groups together, with a voice saying God is still transforming lives, and most especially when there's a culture that doesn't believe that or doesn't understand it. We're boldly advocating for scriptural integrity in a culture that daily seems to further abandon the truth that anchors God's view of sexuality and human relationship. That's what we're each doing. Contending for the hearts and wholeness of those seeking to live with scriptural integrity and declaring the way for those who do not yet see. That's my favorite part. declaring the way for those who do not yet see. We're offering hope, but there are thousands of people, the ones who are on the street this morning, they don't see yet. But one day they can, because we're continuing to say this opportunity is still real. So what is the brand of RHN? So it's a brand of network that does what? It offers the strongest and clearest apologetic view for male and female gender, marriage, family, and healthy relating. Now, we don't do that on our own, right? RHN's not the strongest apologetic, but all of our group connected make us a strong apologetic group. Clearly and consistently, we communicate and defend biblical truth. We have connections with the strongest, most well-trained legal government associations and alliances that promote and defend biblical worldview when our mission could be threatened. You know, in a world maybe 20 years ago, we didn't really need that much alliance as far as the government and legal things. Now we need it more than ever. Every single state is about to lose, the very right to do what we do. And the last point offers time-tested, Christ-centered healing and transformational ministry. That might be the biggest point, that we have to offer. And it is just a wonderful place to be able to gather together. And I'm reminded of the scripture that says, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together as some are in the habit of doing. That's because we need each other to spur each other on and go, yes, okay, I knew this was right. I'm over in Atlanta doing my little work in ministry, and it gets tiring sometimes. It feels lonely. It feels like you're the only one, or you're not winning because the media is saying all this. When I come together in a group like this, I go, yes, it's still happening, and there are still people who are fighting the same fight. And so it renews us together, and I think, thankful for online now, we can do that, but it helps us more to come together. We're voices of biblical truth for biblical worldview and sexuality. And these are just simple things. It's about apologetics, science, testimony, which is the proof of Jesus' transformation, and just common sense. It is just common sense about male and female, really. The world, I think, has lost its common sense, but those are just simple ways to talk about what we do. And we're committed, again, to restoring hope, proclaiming truth, and equipping the church. And the last thing I want to say about all this is that it is eternal. What you're doing is eternal. What that man just did, standing up here and speaking, is eternal. I want to read for you Psalm 78 and why this is so important. Romans 10 says, the second verse is saying, how will they know if there's not a preacher? How will they know if you don't stand up and say that? How will they know if we don't continue to say this? But what's eternal about it is Psalm 78, and I want to read to you from verse 4 to 11. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generations to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he has done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that we should make them known to their children. We've got to make them known, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. Do you see what we're doing and what we're saying is about generations that haven't even been born yet? Yeah. That they might not forget the wonderful works of God. So what you're doing here is valuable. Even if you're here struggling and you don't even know how you got here and how you're going anywhere. Your story is important. Even to say that I'm struggling and I'm seeking this out. If you've been walking this walk 2 days, 2 years, your story is still important to your sphere of influence. But we exist as Restored Hope Network to help those come along and receive victory and walk in that complete victory in love and compassion and truth. And I just want to shout because God is so good. Because he's given us this transformation in this earthen vessel that's broken and not always right, but we can speak in love and truth. And I just want to encourage you to stay a part of Restored Hope Network. And I'm just thankful that you're all here. And I look forward to the rest of the weekend. Thank you.